What's going on, everybody? Today's story, again, not surprising, but absolutely horrifying. And this is a story that I don't know why it didn't get the coverage that it should have gotten. In fact, the largest video coverage on this story from mainstream media came from news in Colorado, and it only got 2,500 views. And that was 2 years ago. This is absolutely disgusting. I'm going to wait for people to get in here. Pardon me. Welcome, everybody. How you doing? Please remember on your way in to smash that like button. Let's help the analytics know to get people on over here. I'd also like to say thank you to Brian from High Impact Flicks. And here's the deal for sharing one of my videos today and Lackluster the other day. Really appreciate it. We need to start spreading the word and getting the word out there so more of these bad cops are off the street. And in some cases, when they get sued, they still won't admit they're wrong. They will pay you money, but they will offer zero accountability. Welcome to Roll Call, everybody. Everyone, let me know in the chat where you're from. All right? Let me know where you're from. Let's do Roll Call. Steve, from your neck of the woods, this story is about someone in Denver. Hello, Steve from Denver. What's going on? Wisconsin. I know Twyla is out there in Arizona. Batman is from Chicago. As If is from Georgia. Dennis is from Massachusetts. Shippy is from Cincinnati. Dana is from KY. Melissa from Texas. John Speedway, we know where you're from, bro. From Indiana. Pepperoni Audits, what's going on? Welcome, everyone. So without further ado, let's start talking about this story. In September 4th of 2018, a young man by the name of Timmy Henley was murdered by police. Now, this city has a long history of mistreating people. So they don't do things the right way. Now, we're talking about the Westminster Police Department in Westminster, Colorado. Now, this story is just filled with lots and lots of holes, people. Lawsuit has been filed. But let me show you, for example, the most recent lawsuit that was settled. Okay? Just to give you an idea of the police station that you're dealing with out here, people. All right, this is a tattoo parlor owner outside of his tattoo shop. Make sure everyone can see that. You see the tattoo owner right there. He's the owner of the tattoo parlor. He's sitting down. Looks like he might be getting ready to have a cigarette. Then you're going to see what undercover police do. Let's take a look at what they do. As you can see, another policy officer comes up to assault this man. Start it from the beginning if you're just tuning in. So he's standing there, looks like he's getting ready to smoke a cigarette, turns around, someone walks up, says, police. He says, huh? Boom, cold clocked in the face. So this is one of the instances that leads up to this young man and his assault by police. So then we come to the person that we're speaking about today, and that's Tim Henley. I'm going to share the largest clip that is out there right now. The fact that mainstream media or anyone really, I mean, the only person that's done real good work on this is Regan Benson. Shout out to Regan Benson. She broke down everything, and we're going to be doing the same thing here.
The family of a man killed by Westminster police is suing tonight, saying the evidence used to justify the shooting just doesn't add up.
Timmy Henley was shot outside of an apartment complex in 2018. Police say he charged them with a knife. The lawsuit claims he was unarmed. Denver 7 Jessica Porter with that story tonight.
So there was firing and shooting earlier.
New video shared by a neighbor shows officers rushing towards Timmy Henley's body in the parking lot of this Westminster apartment complex. A lawsuit against 2 officers and the city claims they used excessive force, shooting Henley 11 times while he was having an emotional disturbance. A neighbor who didn't want to appear on camera says it never should have happened.
Just I feel really bad for his family. I have been in contact with his dad.
Officers were called to the complex earlier that day. Henley was jumping on a neighbor's car and told police he was high and hallucinating. The lawsuit claims officers talked him down and let him go.
Unfortunately, they didn't do anything, bring him to the hospital or anything like that for any sort of reason. So I think that could have prevented a lot.
Hours later, neighbors called 911 again. Henley had broken into 2 apartments, was holding a knife and telling one neighbor, quote, "People are trying to kill me." When officers arrived, they claim he charged at them with a knife. So they shot him. But the lawsuit says the only knife found was on the floor of an apartment, far from the parking lot where Henley was shot.
I didn't notice anything by his body, but the report said that he had a knife. So I didn't see anything hanging around.
The family is seeking damages for loss of life. Westminster police wouldn't comment on the lawsuit, but the district attorney did launch an independent investigation, which cleared the officers involved. Jessica Porter, Denver 7.
Okay, people. So officers cleared. Now let's give a background about this. This happens in September 4th of 2018. Now in July of that year, another officer is sued by a family in a wrongful death, and they actually win. Later, officers from the same police department shoot and kill a man when his glasses fall off. That's right. His glasses fell off and they shot him because they were scared for their life. Lawsuits have been filed. Now, the interesting part of this is that the cops say so they did arrive to the scene and they dealt with him having a mental disturbance. So when they got to the scene, I spoke to his mom, Sabrina. She's been fighting for justice for her son for years, and lawsuits have been filed. However, in this specific case, the police show up, EMTs show up. He's, on a vehicle, upset and disturbed and having mental issues. The police talk him down. He's not sent to the hospital. After this interaction, he is left to his own devices. So later that day, neighbors do call. Now, he did enter several apartments and he was carrying a knife. So that be it as it may, okay? So the police are called. Now, the interesting thing here, folks, is when the police show up to this apartment complex a second time, they know they're dealing with a man that is having mental issues. And from their first experience, they know that he's not posing a danger to them. So their story is he comes outside of the apartment complex, runs at them, and in his hand over his head is a knife. He attempts to assault them, and they shoot him 11 times. Though that was Officer Louis Engelberg. I'm going to call him Louis Dingleberg. He recently retired after 30 years with the Westminster Police Department. And Chris Hempelman. Chris Hempelman's brother is also a canine cop, and his brother's wife is a police chief in a nearby neighboring town. The interesting part, people, is that the only knife that was found was more than 60 feet away inside an apartment building. Crime scene photos were taken of this, right? No knife was near his body. The only thing that was near him or within reach of him was a cell phone. And we all know cops find phones very, very scary. But they didn't allude to the phone being this big knife that he had over his head. So they do a investigation into this issue. And of course, both of the officers were cleared of any issues. Now keep in mind, who is Tim Henley? Tim Henley was 27 at the time of his death. He had only been living in Colorado for 6 weeks. he was gainfully employed and and also he was an appreciated supervisor with Amazon. Okay. The prosecutor that cleared these cops of these charges was the same prosecutor that investigated Elijah McClain. You guys remember who Elijah McClain was? Post one in the chat if you remember who Elijah McClain was. Elijah McClain, he was 23. He was a black man. He was 23 and a massage therapist from Aurora, Colorado, who died after getting beaten senseless by police. So I understand this. You have a police department that's out there killing citizens. That's been proven. That's a non sequitur. One guy's getting beat up outside of a tattoo parlor. One guy's getting killed. They just settled. That's what Westminster Police does, is they kill you and they settle. Now, throughout the entire time, there's been no accountability. Okay, let me explain something to you folks. The mayor and the police chief, shortly after Tim's death, resigned amidst a sexual harassment scandal. So in that same year that Tim dies, in the same 1 year period, you have one guy shot and killed. They pay the family. They settle out of court. You have another man who was shot and killed because his glasses fell off. You have Tim Henley, who was shot 11 times by 2 cops because they say he was charging at them with a knife, but there's no knife at the scene. The closest knife is within 60 yards. You have a man in a neighboring town that owns a tattoo parlor that was just cold clocked and beat by police. Let's show you guys that video again. These are the type of scumbags that you're dealing with out there. Let me show you. This is what happens when you go to work. All right, people, when you go to work in Westminster or Aurora, this is what happens to you. You'll go to work. You'll be a contributing member of society. You'll be outside of your business. You may decide you want to step out for a cigarette or a phone call. A police officer will approach you. He'll crack his knuckles. He's expecting a fight. He walks up to this guy whose, hands are full, and he says, "Hey, policeman." And then he goes to grab him. This guy steps away and then gets cold clocked. Let's watch that again. He had the intention to, look at him right here, cracks his knuckles. There it was. There's the knuckle crack. Shows a badge, police. The guy says, "What?" Boom, you get punched in the face. Let me and my friends come over, help kick you and punch you. This is what we do out here. We kick, we punch, we hurt, we assault, we violate, we detain. And then when we kill you, we'll just have the city pay it out. We'll have the city pay you when we kill you. They can't accept any sort of blame. I mean, the Aurora cops in the Elijah McClain case blamed paramedics. They said paramedics were to blame for Elijah McClain's death, not the cops that beat him to a bloody pulp. Now, what's interesting, and we hear a lot of these stories, how people come to the light of activism. Sabrina, Tim's mom, I spoke to her on the phone today. I have all the dockets. We'll go step by step to this case. She was a Back the Blue supporter. Have you guys heard, put in the chat, 1, if you've heard the saying, "Back the blue until it happens to you." 2, if you have not heard it before. Then another question after we ask that one. So let's see what the chat says. If you've heard it, press 1. If you have not heard it, press 2, because I'm going to blow your mind. Everyone presses 1. Okay, perfect. So the next question I have for you folks is, do you know where the "Back the Blue until it happens to you" saying came from? Put a 3 if you know and write the person's name, or put a 4 if you don't know. Where did the saying come from? If you know where the saying come from and you know their name, put a 3. If you don't, put a 4. A lot of 4s. Okay. "Back the blue until it happens to you" is actually a saying created by Tim Henley's mom. Introduced to activism by Eric Brandt through Tim Henley's mom's Sabrina. Okay. She was a pro-police supporter. She actually paid to attend police dinners. She 100% backed the blue. The saying that we use so much in our videos, back the blue until it happens to you, came from this young man's mother who was murdered in cold blood. So she sues. They go to court, they sue. There's another picture I want you to see. Okay. Now I want you to look at this picture and tell me what it is you see here. What do you think this picture came from? Why do you think this picture exists? It's 3 police officers, and I want you to write in the chat what prompted them to take this picture. Let me know. I'll start reading off some of your comments. What do you think prompted this picture taken by police? First kill. No, they were cleared. No, killed McLean. No, killed a kid. Interestingly enough, this picture was taken after they reenacted a chokehold that killed somebody. So they reenacted a chokehold that killed somebody, and they took a nice smiling selfie. This is how the police feel about you. They kill people, and that's what they do. That's how they celebrate. Now, let's be clear. She's suing them, okay? Now, the Westminster police kill her son, and they depose her. Multiple murders within the first year of these oath-breaking scum tyrants. She sues so she can get some accountability for what happened to her child. And they depose her. They harass her on the witness stand. Now, I will say, and I'm happy to say, that this is all public records. The next court date is going to be for a settlement hearing. Now, generally what happens in a settlement hearing, people, is when the agency that's being sued, in this case, the Westminster Police Department, the 2 officers and the police department itself, they take a look at the case and they say, we don't want to have to go through court. It's going to be too costly, and we're probably not going to win. So let's offer a settlement. So that's what a settlement hearing is. So they're going to a settlement hearing to pay money. Now, who pays for something that they didn't do? Who apologizes for something they didn't do? Here's how this mind blows me. They can't give this woman an apology. They can't give her an apology that is free. But they will waste tens of thousands up to millions of dollars of your money, of your taxes, to pay the cost. And these guys are still on the street. While Officer Chris Hempelman is still on the street, Officer Louis Engelberg, or as we call him, Louis Dingleberg, retired, full benefits after 30 years on the force. Now, what's interesting also, and this may not surprise you, is the same year that Mr. Henley was murdered by police, an officer was fired for rape. So they're killing people, costing the city millions of dollars. Their officers are raping people. The mayor is resigning, and the chief of police are resigning amidst a sexual harassment scandal. Now, oh, Delete Laws is here. Hey, bro. So he's always filing suits, and I get really aggravated when people in the comments say, suits are frivolous. Nothing happens with lawsuits. You're just like, I would like to show you something. Okay? This is paperwork, people. This is the rights of we the people. What you are seeing on screen is the lawsuit. The estate of Timmy Henley Let's go to page 6. This is why Chili sues. This is why he's out there doing what he's doing and why you should be doing what you're doing. Officer gave a detailed verbal account of relevant events through the CIT interview process, which was also transcribed. Defendants deny any and all remaining allegations and or insinuations contained in this paragraph. With respect to the allegations contained in paragraph 85 of the complaint, defendants admit that Officer Hempelman witnessed dissident standing in the doorway to apartment 19 while holding a knife, and the dissident then charged officers with the intent to kill or injure them. Defendants deny any and all remaining allegations and or insinuations contained in this paragraph. With respect to the allegations contained in 86 of the complaint, defendants admit that Officer Engelberg witnessed the descendant charge officers while holding what he perceived to be a knife above his head. So first it was definitely a knife. Now, one paragraph and 2 sentences later, it's what's perceived to be a knife above his head, and that Officer Engelberg opened fire as a result. 11 times. Both officers fired 11 shots. You can take someone down center mass with one. This is 11. Okay. Defendants further admit that Officer Engelberg again opened fire as dissident got back up off of the ground and continued to charge at the officers. Defendants deny any and all remaining allegations and or insinuations contained in this paragraph. With respect to the allegations contained in 87 of the complaint, defendants admit that Officer Hempelman did not describe during his CIT interview seeing dissident hold a knife above his head. Defendants deny any and all remaining allegations and or insinuations contained in this paragraph. What does that mean, folks? Let me explain to you what that means. What that means is when this cop was interviewed, there was no mention of any knife held above his head. But later, when his job could be on the line, a knife has traveled back in time and appeared in this young man's hand. It was able to be seen by this officer, but not in crime scene technician photos of the body of the crime scene area. Not seen anywhere else except this cop's hands, except through this cop's eyes, months and months later. Let's continue to read. With respect to the allegations contained in 90 of the complaint, defendants admit that the dissident was not in possession of a knife at the time of his death. With respect to the allegations contained in 96 of the complaint, defendants admit that they were cleared of any wrongdoing and were therefore not disciplined as a result of these events. Defendants deny any and all remaining allegations contained in this paragraph. Now let me understand what is really happening here. Let's look at the paragraph right before. The defendants being the police. So we'll substitute defendants for police. Police admit the dissident, so that's the person who was killed, we'll call him Timmy. Police admit that Timmy was not in possession of a knife at the time of his death. They admit he's not in possession of a knife, yet they lie and say that he's in possession of a knife. They shoot him 11 times. No knife is ever recovered. And then they are cleared. And they're cleared of any wrongdoing. This is a terrible thing to laugh at, people. But I'm laughing because this never, ever changes. Never, ever changes. You see it with Dragonet Transparency. She's in the chat. You see it with Great Lakes Audits. He's in the chat. People are being assaulted, demeaned, killed, violated, degraded, kidnapped, and tortured by police every single day. Every day. And they're being allowed to walk the streets. They're able to retire. Keep in mind, when this incident happened, qualified immunity was still a thing in Colorado. As of this moment, qualified immunity is gone in Colorado. It happened after this case. But it doesn't really matter because the officers were cleared of wrongdoing. So removing qualified immunity is just a move to appease people. It doesn't actually do anything. Whether or not they have qualified immunity, they can still kill you and torture you and kidnap you, throw you in dungeons, make you squat, cough, and then send you home quite different than the way you walked in. That's right, Patrick. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And absolutely every single person that has absolute power is corrupted. It is the nature of the system and the nature of the beast. And we, the people, are losing our loved ones every single day. Let's just throw something out there. How many people were killed by police this year? To date. In 2021, sadly, the trend of fatal police shootings in the United States seems to only be increasing, with a total of 241 civilians having been shot, 14 of whom were black, as of April 2022. In April 2021, there were 1,055 fatal police shootings, and in 2022, there were 1,021 police shootings. Additionally, the rate of fatal police shooting amongst Black Americans was much higher than that for any other ethnicity, standing at 38 fatal shootings per million of the population as of 2022. So what are we doing to stamp it out? Absolutely nothing. It's getting worse every single year. And people at home, especially trolls and bootlickers, they'll tell me that I'm just nuts. I'm nuts. The problem isn't that bad. It's getting better. Let's do this. Officer safety. Officer safety. So I want everyone to write down in the chat, how many people were killed by police? So in 2021, 1,055. And already this year, all right, so 1,055. Everyone write that down in the chat so I don't forget. 1,055, the number of civilians killed by police. Let's look up another statistic, please. How many police officers were killed last year? Okay, let's go to the... Okay, now I want to remove some things here. So the total number of officers killed last year in the line of duty, 616. But hold on, 438 of those deaths were from the Kung flu. So if you're at home, that's not active duty. Okay, active duty is you're going out, you're serving your community, you lose your life. That's active duty. So how many? Then we have motorcycle crashes, we have heart attacks, we have falls. There's a lot of falls, struck by vehicles. Let's look at actual issues with assailants. How many people actually killed cops last year? So assault, we have 6. Gunfire, 62. Stabbed, 4. So 62, that makes 70, 74. 74. All right, people. So last year, 1,055 people were murdered by police officers, died at the hands of police. Last year, 74 police officers died at the hand of a citizen or assailant or whoever they were involved with. What's the ratio problem here, people? I don't understand. Now, you say officer safety. Well, I don't understand why you're concerned about officer safety, because for every 1,055 people you murder, 74 of you guys die. Now, let's look at percentages. All right. So I want to see what percentage 74 is of 1,055. like 10% less. So it's like 6%. So 6% of officers, like that's the number that we're looking at. Staggering rates. So I think it should be the other way around. First point of matter is that if 1,055 people are killed by cops, but only 74 cops are killed by people, why are cops worried about officer safety? I think citizen safety should be the very first thing. Citizen safety should be the biggest issue. But I think I know why officer safety is such a big deal. Because, so for every one cop that's killed, they go out and kill 30 people. That's insane. That's insane. So police are worried about officer safety, maybe because karma sucks. I really think that's what it is. They're saying, holy shit, we killed 1,055 people last year. They only got 74 of us. Retaliation, we should be very afraid. So someone had a question, how to fix it instead of talking about it. That's an excellent question. That is an excellent question. Whenever you see a police department put up a picture on their Facebook page or their website of a cop giving a high five to a little kid or pulling a kitten from a tree, Google that cop's name. Because they only do shit like that most of the time, in most cases, when they're trying to create good press to cover for the bad press that's about to windfall them. Everyone that you're in here, please go ahead, feel free. We would love for you to smash that like button, really appreciate it. Also, you can become channel members. We welcome all members. It's right next to the subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed already, please do, but you can join any one of our member tiers. We do have a brand new member tier, AFA Platinum. We're literally, we'll talk on the phone several times a week, and I'll go out and be meeting you, and we'll be going out and filming together. Also, you can super chat. Feel free to super chat. It does help with the analytics. It does help us keep going. And also, you can help us out on PayPal, paypal.me/accountability4all, or on Cash App, $AFAYT. I did speak to Sabrina, Tim's mom. There is no charity or anything set up in his name. Unfortunately, we would obviously send you guys there and ask people to donate as much as they can. Now, I want to show you this young man's picture. You saw it on the thumbnail. Let me show you again, because it's unfortunate that people just aren't interested about stuff like this. I want you to remember this name. And then we're going to go over the next topic that's going to make you go absolutely postal. Hold on here. It's like if I don't hit you with one topic that makes you guys go ape shit, you'll get hit with another topic that makes you go ape shit every single time. It's like they don't stop, but when they don't stop, we don't stop, right? We need to shut this type of behavior the fuck down every single time. So this is Timmy Henley. Remember that face. On September 4th, 2018, at the young age of 27 years old, he moved from Texas, from his family, to live in Westminster, Colorado. He had no arrest record. He had a great job as a supervisor with Amazon. He was loved by his friends, his family, his neighbors, his coworkers. This young man was just starting in life. He hadn't had a chance to see what life was until he was gunned down by officers Louis Engelberg and Chris Hempelman of the Westminster Police Department in Westminster, Colorado. His mother, Sabrina, and family have been left without any accountability for their son's death whatsoever. Not so much as an apology. And every time they check the headlines to see if the police will recognize their son in some way, instead of seeing some sort of apology, they'll see new headlines like the mayor resigns amidst a sexual harassment scandal. The police chief resigns amidst a sexual harassment scandal. An officer is arrested and charged with rape. Let me tell you something, people. Eric Brandt is in jail for, I believe, 7 years. The officer from the same police department that killed this young man was in prison for rape for 3 months. Chevy, thank you so much. Everyone can follow Chevy's suit and super chat as well. Really appreciate that, Chevy. Thank you. 3 months, right? 3 other people were killed that year. That's what Westminster does. They kill you, they refuse to apologize, and then they make you foot the bill. I asked Miss Sabrina, a very, very brave woman, what she wanted from all this, because her lawsuit is coming to a close. She's going to a settlement hearing that she will be getting paid money. That is just a fact. I asked her what she wanted from this, and she said she just wants accountability. She just wants someone to say we fucked up. And the cops won't do it. They stand their ground. Why? I don't understand. An apology won't bring Tim Henley back. But it can certainly ease the pain and suffering of a family that can't call him anymore. And what's worse is they defiled his memory. They defiled his memory. When people think of him, they think of a crazed lunatic that charged at police with a knife. Because the police wouldn't lie. The police wouldn't lie. They don't remember the actual truth that was later proved with video, that the closest knife was 60 feet away. He had just a cell phone. He had asked the police for help earlier. They had assisted him. They gave him no help. They didn't bring him to the hospital. They just let him roam free. I say negligence. They're directly responsible for this man's death. He could have been walking out the door to say, help me. And that's not the story that people know of the 27-year-old kid that loved his family and his friends, that was chasing his dreams. They can't even say, I'm sorry. When they would, now I don't know what the settlement's going to be. I just know that I got the court documents. There's a settlement hearing coming up. So a settlement will be offered to the family because they do want to avoid trial, and this looks really bad for them. And I'm sure along with the settlement agreement, there'll be some sort of gag order and non-disclosure agreement where she won't be able to talk about it. They say, we're going to kill your kid. We're not going to apologize for it. And then we're going to harass you on the stand, and we're going to make the taxpayers who we abuse pay the bill. I loved it. She said, you know the saying, back the blue till it happens to you? I said, I say it all the time. She said, you know where that comes from? And I was like, no, I don't know where that comes. She says, from me. And I was like, yeah, it's funny, but really? She's like, no, from me. Eric Brandt helped me with my case, and that's where back the blue until it happens to you came from. This woman is a trailblazer. Before anyone covered these types of stories, she was out there doing it. And she said Eric Brandt's advice to her was to never give up. Was to never give up the hope, never give up the fight, never let his name die. The only thing I want to see is an apology. I don't know why. But the biggest part of the real Pollyanna, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Sorry, with my chat. Now, when you go to court, If you do something wrong, you have to show remorse, right? Why does the law never apply to the pigs? Why? Why? Literally, my question is, why does the law never apply to the pigs? They'll put you in court where you have to say you're sorry for what you did. To get any sort of clemency or to even go to jail, you have to say you're sorry. The cops don't have to say that they're sorry. Deprivation under the color of law against this man's civil rights, and cold-blooded murder. My question is, why does Eric Brandt get 12 years in prison for free speech, but a cop from the same department that killed this young man who raped someone got 3 months? Why are officers concerned about officer safety when only 74 officers were actually killed in the line of duty by another person, when over 1,000 people were killed by police last year alone? And that number consistently for the past 8 years has been climbing at a rapid rate. Why is the mayor and the police chief resigning amidst a sexual harassment scandal but not being charged? Why is this woman not able to hear "I'm sorry"? I think it's basic human nature that we understand, and we're taught as children, that when we do something that hurts somebody, we say we're sorry. I've had to suck it up on my channel before. When I've got things wrong, I've had to correct it. I've had to apologize. I've had to learn. I've had to grow. That is the human process. Why doesn't it apply to them? He said that he was high and he was hallucinating. I'm pretty sure that's why rehabilitation exists. That's why you can go to rehab. You know, we have the legislative, the executive, and the judicial branch. Lady Liberty is blind. Lady Justice is blind. So in equal checks and balances, the system is supposed to protect you through every stage, that you have the right to due process, that you have the right to an assumption of innocence, that you have a right to be tried in front of a judge or by a jury of your peers. You have the right to certain unalienable truths. You have the right to remain silent as to not incriminate yourself. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you by the court. You have the right to affordable bail. So no excessive bail shall be granted to a person that cannot afford said excessive bail if it is beyond their means. The Supreme Court has ruled that no homeless person can be evicted from a public place if there is no better place to slumber. That doesn't mean if the cop thinks that across the street is a better place for them to go. The precedence is very clear that if a homeless person is homeless, they can sleep on a public sidewalk. Yet we see people like Regan Benson every day going out and exposing the mistreatment of homeless people at the hands of police. Why is Dragonette Transparency, a 65-year-old grandmother with no arrest record, assaulted, battered, and sexually verbally harassed by a man, and then because of her activism is arrested hours later under the cover of darkness, dragged from her home in a nightgown, paraded barefoot onto the street, and stripped in front of male officers? Why is Great Lakes Audits filming, exercising his First Amendment right as a free American, then kidnapped? Before he's even spoken to by police, why do the police take charges out against him and swear out a warrant, and then go arrest him on separate charges, bypassing his right to affordable bail and bail at all, thus holding him on the warrant, making him sit in a jail cell till Monday? Why did Great Lakes Audits call me today and tell me that he spoke to an orthopedic surgeon that said his hand is broken? Broken from torture cuffs. Now, this is the part that gets me, okay? I'm asking you guys a lot of questions. And someone asked me earlier, we talk about it, but how do we change anything? By asking these same questions, but not to each other. We're way past that. We ask these questions to them. We say, how is it possible that a man seeking mental help, a 27-year-old person in the prime of their life that's beloved by his coworkers, that is following and chasing his dream into a state that he's always wanted to live, murdered by police? And you look at the court documents. The cops say right afterwards, no, well, he didn't have a knife. He didn't have anything on them. But when they get their feet pressed to the coals and they feel the weight of justice from Lady Liberty and we, the people of the United States of America, they change their story. They're protected with impunity. They harass, they collect, they murder, they violate. And we change it by standing up and saying something. Our founding fathers knew that this nation would perpetuate. But as much as it would perpetuate in good, it would perpetuate in evil. And as much as we, the citizens, evolve, the police devolve. And the gap would grow greater. And when we stand up and we look at ourselves and our posterity, do ordain, we ask ourselves, how can we fix it? By redressing our grievances and asking why this man was murdered by police. I think it's a goddamn crying shame that the cops will make you, the taxpayers, pay excessive amounts of money to this woman and to her suffering family, but they won't offer a friggin' apology. High Impact Flicks, hello. Here's some staggering statistics. I wanted to talk about officer safety today, High Impact Flicks. Why they're so concerned about officer safety. Did you know, High Impact Flicks, that last year, 1,055 people were murdered by police? That number has increased every single year over the past 8 years. Welcome, William Brown. But did you also know that last year, only 70 police officers were killed by people? So every time a cop is killed, they go kill 30 people? Like, how does the math work out? Or are they concerned for officer safety because karma is real and we, the people, won't stand for it? That's a rate. Now, you should know there were 666 actual total deaths of police. 400 were from the Kung Flu. 7 were from heart attacks. Like 60 were from slip and falls. We're paying these people for falling downstairs. That's not active duty. That's not serving we the people. You know what? If I killed 30 to every of my one, I'd be concerned for my safety as well. Someday, we will get to a point where we stand up and we say no. We've been stirring the pot for quite some time. But why another mother? Why another Tim Henley? We have clowns wearing costumes. I want you to picture this, people. You hire a clown for your kid's birthday. He comes with the big rainbow wig and the big red nose and the big floppy shoes, looking stupid. You know, he's got rubber balloon guns and all that fun stuff. If he walked out in the middle of the street in broad daylight and shot someone right in the face, what would happen to him? He would go to jail. He would get arrested immediately. But far less clowns are getting killed every year than actual police. So what's the difference? Same asshole, different costume? That's really all it is. People wearing patches. I mean, gangs wear patches. The only difference is some gangs, actually have more humanality to them than some of these police. Some of these gangs will operate by a code. The only code by these cops is the blue code, the cult code. And it's at your expense. I need to check my messages. Hold on a second. Jane, thank you so much, Jane. I'm going to leave you with this. And please subscribe to High Impact Flicks. He also has Grease Monkey videos. And here's the deal. One of the people that inspire me continuously and well before the growth of my channel, because he's not in it for the money. He's literally in it to bring attention to what's happening in this country. He's willing to go into small channels where he doesn't have to be, to say hello and try and get the word out there. The same as you guys are. At one time, Brian didn't have a channel. At one time, I didn't have a channel. It wasn't until one cop came up and abused my rights and I pulled out a cell phone. Cops, not strong. Guns, not strong. Do you know what the most dangerous thing in America is? This. This is the most dangerous thing in America. Not because it looks like a gun, not because it can be used as a weapon, because it exposes the clowns throughout the midst and the actions and the commission of their felonies and conspiracies. It holds them accountable. It denies them the ability to hide from their actions. It demands transparency where there is none and where there would be none if not for this. The names change, but there's always going to be a Tim Henley. Just like the cops. Might be a different state in a different uniform, but it's still the same scumbag that puts it on. The Constitution states that any law that abridges the Constitution in itself is unconstitutional and shall not be recognized. Then you define qualified immunity, the ability to suspend or terminate someone's constitutional rights. Now, if it's unconstitutional for any law to abridge the Constitution, and qualified immunity is literally an abridgment of that Constitution, how is it alive? Because the police state and the clown consortium will only recognize what they see fit. I want you to recognize something. 3%. 3% of our nation was able to overcome insurmountable odds. Okay? Farmers with pitchforks stood up and said, "We will have no more." And I've said this a bunch of times. It's because we had nothing to lose then. They took our guns, we got more guns. They killed our wives and our families, we fought harder. Nothing stood in the way of our determination. Nothing stopped our forward path on the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and property. Nothing would disrupt our prosperity. John Hancock's father once said, "I would rather see my city burn to the ground than stand the way it is now, because we are already lost." That's not saying go out and burn the city down, but it's very telling what he's talking about. He's saying, I'd rather see the city burn to the ground. I would rather see it not exist than exist in the hands of tyranny. And now when people are faced with that same question, with that same tyranny, with that same loss of life, with the same tragedy of Tim Henley, among all the other Americans that lost their lives at the hands of enemy combatants, because that's what they are. They're enemy combatants in clown costumes. We say, instead of saying, we got nothing to lose, let's fight, we say, we have everything to lose. My kids got soccer practice. I got a new minivan. My wife has bridge club, if that's even a fucking thing anymore. And we hand our rights away a little bit more in increments so we have less and less to lose, so we can keep as much as we have that this beautiful government gives us, that one time we took for ourselves. So people say they're your rights. Use them or lose them. Film a cop every time you see one, just so they remember that they answer to you and that there are cameras. Now, I don't think that our founding fathers ever thought there'd be such thing as this. But if they did, I would have loved to travel back in time and see what they would have had to have said about where policing is now, where policy enforcement now, where feelings are at now. The Third Amendment, I believe, is the most underrated amendment to our United States Constitution. It says that no person shall be forced to quarter with enemy combatants in a time of peace. Because back then, they didn't have vehicles, as you know. So they would have to walk. They would walk these long roads, and when they got to a person's house, they would go in, take over the house, and whatever camp you were from, you had to put up with these guys. That law was in that amendment to the Constitution was enlisted so you would not be forced to do that. But let's break it down. You shall not be forced to share quarters with enemy combatants in a time of peace. We the people demand peace, and we are being forced to quarter with these enemy combatants. Things, I don't see them changing anytime soon because we are way too docile. You know, we like calling other people sheep. You know, oh, we the sheep, we the sheeple, we the sheeple, you know, the sheep. Little bit by little bit, we are part of that problem. Let's stop it. Let's shut it the fuck down. I don't want to see another Aaron Collins. I don't want to see another Dragonet Transparency. I don't want to see another Lady Justice Liberty Press. I don't want to see another CH and Tie Audits. I don't want to see another Tim Henley. I'd like to read you the most beautiful piece of literature that I know. Okay. We, the people of the United States of America, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Secure the blessings of liberty. Why was it worded like that? Secure the blessings of liberty. Now, keep in mind, they didn't say that the government gave you liberty to secure the blessings of liberty. This is a right that you have. He didn't say, we've secured the blessings of liberty, because they knew this was going to be an ongoing battle. They're telling us in the preamble to the Constitution, make sure you continue your fight for accountability. You continue your fight for transparency. You continue to fight for a more perfect union. You continue to establish justice. You continue to ensure domestic tranquility. You continue to provide for the common defense. You continue to promote the general welfare. And you continue, as best you can, to secure the blessings of liberty for yourselves and, most importantly, your posterity. Karen Tibbetts, thank you very much. Appreciate that so much. I mean, I guess it all goes back to, how do we do that? How do we secure the blessings of liberty? And it goes back to the same question, and I'm sorry I forget your name, that was asked before. You know, we're talking about it, but how do we do it? It's given to us. The recipe was written over 200 years ago. Anyone can look it up. It's the preamble to the Constitution of the United States of America. We the people. It's the first thing they want you to see. The first thing they want you to know. And it's the last thing they want you to forget. That's how we do it. Literally, that's the recipe. And we do it by supporting great channels that are out there doing great work, like High Impact Flicks, Grease Monkey Videos, Here's the Deal, Great Lakes Audits, Lackluster, Dragonet Transparency, Delete Laws. That's how we secure the blessings for ourselves and our posterity. I want to show you something. Hold on. Here's how we do it, people. We do it through an AFA raid. Now, like I said, really appreciate you. I'm going to be going out to Ohio to help out Great Lakes Audits and to get some filming out there with Chili from Delete Laws. So if you can help, please super chat. Cash App is $AFAYT. That's the Cash App. PayPal is paypal.me/accountability for all. Also, those pay links are at the top of the chat. But here's how we do this, people. I'm going to show you how we continue to fight for liberty. I just copied a link that I'm going to post in this chat. I want everyone to go over to this channel. And I want you to say, this is what I want you to write when you get in there. All right, so when I'm going to post the link for everyone that's here, when you get there, we're going to say AFA raid, we don't stop. I'm spamming the link now. That's Delete Laws. He's live. Here's how we continue to demand accountability, transparency by helping other activists and supporting other activists in their fight to justice. So when you get over there to Delete Laws during his live stream, I want you to say AFA raid, we don't stop. We're all going to go over there together, including myself, and that's what we're going to say. Todd Norton, oh, thank you so much. Todd Norton says, great motherfucking speech. Watching Chili today in Toledo, trying to explain the police don't understand, they don't understand. Exactly. If they only knew who he thought he was, is what he says. Thank you so much, Todd. So everyone, let's disappear out of here. Let's all go over to all over there. We're going to say AFA raid, we don't stop. And that is how we always hold them accountable. That's how we always keep ourselves safe. And that's how we always try and make sure that we don't see another Tim Henley. But Tim, they won't say they're sorry, but we're sorry for what you suffered. We're sorry for what your family's going through. And we're sorry that you only lived to see 27, because I think 28 would have been a beautiful year to have you in the world. Good luck, people. Head on over to Delete Laws right now. Tell them it's an AFA raid. We don't stop. Remember, take care of each other. They're your rights. If you don't use them, you lose them. And like Tim's mom said, you back the blue until it happens to you. And well, that's the reason I stopped you today.